Y'all know how we do. One take. I'm really just showing off the red underneath my nails because I think they so cute. Anyway, hey y'all, how we doing today? I hope y'all had a special weekend, a precious weekend, a restful weekend, a weekend full of love, all of the things. At least you got to chill, right? I hope so. But let's get into the things. I posted a short about this already, but I just have to say again, like, y'all really wildin'. Y'all really wildin'. Like, folks is engaging, like, calling out their number as the sub that they decided to, like, just so much, just so much love. And I like so appreciate it. So, like, overnight to just have that kind of bump. And again, like, I'm not doing any kind of wild promo, just putting it out there and getting this kind of reception, this kind of feedback is such a good thing. Um, it makes me happy. So thank you. Thank you so much. Damn. All right. So y'all know how we do. I get on my little iPad, I write my notes, and we got a little baby scripts over here. But we're gonna get into some things. So the first thing we're gonna call is the $1 million tongue. The $1 million tongue is something that I've come across before. Like, I'm not saying that I've read it anywhere, like, kind of just dawned on me. But for this video, we calling Cardi to the front. Like, all right, Shorty, like, you gotta sit down, we gotta talk to you for a little minute, all right? So I'm gonna tell y'all off the rip. If you can't tell by the accent, I'm from the town, right? Like, so I definitely grew up in New York, and I also want to say that I like Cardi, and I'm gonna give you full like quick backstory. I was not a person that believed in her. I was definitely one of those people that thought, she kind of was stepping in a lane that she didn't really belong in because it was entertaining and it was easy to cosplay. But when Shorty was like, my little 15 minutes lasting long as hell, I was like, yeah, she got me. She was one of them people that shut me the hell up and made me a believer. So I like Cardi as both a person, as a brand. I don't think that she's a perfect person. I don't think I'm a perfect person. So I'm not going to hold her to a standard that I cannot live by nor achieve. And s with that being said, let's talk a little bit about this whole fat phobic thing that she was going through and this anti-black rhetoric. So it's originally started because I was per usual scrolling through YouTube, regular shit, like because I be kind of chilling and just watching videos and whatnot. And there was someone that posted a video that was talking about Cardi B being like anti-black, right? And like she sleeps with black men, but she doesn't like black people. And I was just like, and I didn't watch the video because I'm like, that's such a it's such a tough thing, right? But I don't want to lean too much in my own personal perception. I want to bring you to how I got here, right? So we're gonna start off with the power of the tongue, because remember, this is about the $1 million tongue thing. I'm gonna start to pick up my pace. Keep up with me, all right? All right. So we know that the things that we say have impact, right? So whatever you speak, whatever comes out your mouth, it has power. I often talk about the importance or the significance of conditioning, and that is when you are exposed to certain things and you can condition someone to be or believe or react in a certain sort of way. I told you about Ivan Pavlov with the dogs. They would blow the whistle when it was time to eat. So even when they didn't bring the food out, as long as they blew the whistle, the dog's mouths would salivate because they had been conditioned to associate the sound of the whistle with food. This is how this works. And this shows up in every single thing that we do every single day. So we have a certain perception. We believe certain things based on what we see, based on what we hear, based on what we're taught. We are conditioned to go in a certain way. So we have conditioning in athleticism. We have conditioning in marketing inadvertently. It's not technically legal, but we're going to call a spade a spade. And of course, we have conditioning with the perception of certain looks, images, and people and personas, right? Like, so this is a thing that happens. And of course, we have the biblical positioning where it's like there's life and death in the power of the tongue, right? The things that you say out your mouth can bring life, can bring death to those that are around you. So we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to lean into this narrative just a bit. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. So, my quick story goes that I worked at a startup company a while ago, right? And if I haven't said it already, or if you haven't seen, my background is in HR. So, I got into HR after I got violated when I was working in operations and customer service. So, that's my shit. Like, I love operations, I love customer service. And then I got into HR because somebody violated me. And between that and just having the tendency to people please, I just end up being like this really super cool employee that does a lot of different things. And yeah, so inside of this role in this startup company, I am working in the HR capacity, but because it's a startup, you end up doing a lot of different things in a lot of different places, right? So I say that startup environments start off like as an octopus. Like everybody does a little bit of everything. And then as you transition, people get into specialties. And then you end up doing specific functions, specific tasks, because now you have enough bodies, you have enough revenue to do specialty and so on. You have enough demand, enough volume, so on and so forth, right? So this company that I was working for was founded by a husband and a wife, and the wife is the person that hired me. There's a whole story about that whole thing, but originally I did not get picked for the role, and I literally said to her, "When the person that you pick doesn't work out, make sure that you call me." It happened in December. I tell you no lie, I did a fast and everything else, and in March she reached out to me. Was it March or February? In a couple months, she reached back out to me and said, "How would you like to start another conversation?" And sure enough, and that's how I ended up getting that job. Again, long story. I could leave a little bit more. Just comment below, and I'll go ahead and give you the full shebang. Super dope. Like I'll read the emails and everything. Um, but she had this particular adoration for black women. Like it was a thing. She looked at what we've been through. She had a particular interest in the fact that we had become this educated group, that we showed up in all of these different ways. And she was like, they say one thing about y'all, but y'all actually have this maternal thing and y'all was super strong. And she had this admiration for us. So she was a person that gave opportunities. She gave the flowers, but she was also very well accredited. She was super smart. So she wasn't intimidated and feel a need to suppress anybody so that she felt better. She liked sharing the spotlight. And that was a super dope thing. As a matter of fact, if I'm being all the way honest, she was built to ask about me becoming an entrepreneur because she felt like I had the capacity to do it. So that's who she was. She was just this rock star person, definitely somebody that's a sister by default because she's just that bitch, right? Like she's just that bitch. Her husband, on the other hand, when I first got there, everybody told me to be afraid of him. It was just like, nah, he's rough, he's this, he's that. And I would see him like get in the meetings and he would get straight to the point and all these other things. Now, like I told you, I'm from the town, right? And the truth of the matter is that people from New York, we're kind, but we're not nice. It's a thing that we understand. Like, we will tell you to get the fuck out of our way while also paying for your food, right? Like, I went to a Chipotle one time and dude, like, was struggling with his bread and he's like trying to get his stuff together. I'm like, yo, boy, you need something? Like, I'm like, yo, miss, just ring his up with mines and like, yo, go ahead. He's like, yo, take the money. I'm like, I don't need your fucking money. Like, get out of here. He went ahead about this. I was like, yo, enjoy your food. You'll need it tomorrow or some shit like that. Or feed somebody else. Regular shit. This is how we do. Like, I want to act like it was a special moment for me, but it wasn't. This is just how like it gets in the hood sometimes. Like, and sometimes, we get a little crazy, but that's another story for another day. But anyway, I digress. We're going back to the husband. So the husband was brash, he was all of these things, but what I ended up finding out is that he was just rough around the edges. He wasn't actually mean or anything like that. So one of the things that I'm gonna always pay attention to, and again, people pleasing background. So my tolerance and shit like that is different. Like I'm built for it because I come from a background that required you to have a little bit more grit. So he was talking, he would move a certain type of way, and it didn't bother me, but everybody else was so intimidated by it. And needless to say, he liked me because of it, right? And it was really like, listen to what he's saying and give him what he's asking for, you'll be fine. He wasn't looking for nothing else. He just wanted you to do what he asked you to do. It was very simple. Now, again, I don't want to discount the reality of people being intimidated by that. And I'm acknowledging that my background made me better equipped to deal with who he was. So one day I have a conversation with his wife because we would do like meetings and things like that. And we was like this, we was tight. So this is when I'm having a conversation with her about this $1 million tongue thing. Well, I told her, I said, listen to me. If I'm having a conversation with you and I say something that's like a little rough, right? Like, or isn't appropriate, or whatever the case might be, if I talk with a little bit too much of a colloquial, whatever that looks like, I'm just a black girl in HR, right? I said, but when your man do it, you talking a completely different thing. He's the employer. He's the guy with the paychecks. He's the guy that they could sue. And I said, you need to be mindful of who you having a conversation with in these rooms because you're going to upset people. I said, like, he having a bad day, he can come and talk to me how he want to talk to me because I don't care. I'm fine. I could take it. I said, but you got to understand that not everybody can take that. And not everybody's going to look at that like you have the best intentions. She took it well. She listened to me and she was like, you know what? I never thought about it like that, which I thought was interesting. But that's the difference between the people pleaser. So I'm sitting there like, yo, you're not reading the room. You're not paying attention that you are hurting people's feelings. She went and she had the conversation with him. But by that point, it was too late. Short version of it is that there had been a significant investor that had stepped in and was giving a substantial amount of money. And a part of them giving that substantial amount of money was meeting and greeting and everybody else. And what happened? They did a mutiny. They voted him off the board. And in solidarity, she stepped down too. And the decision of stepping down was that there were people there that needed the jobs. And If I'm the person that's bad, yo, y'all gotta go ahead and do your thing. Needless to say that that company ended up dissolving because the founders, the husband and wife, were the brains of the operation and were the reason that the operation had been sustained so long. But because people were so caught up in the things that they would say, they didn't give value for the things that they had done. So now let's get back to Cardi B, right? So what I'm paying attention to these days is that the same jokes and the same rhetoric, the same brash, the same rat shade, all that shit, the same stuff that brought her to the limelight is the same thing people are tying the rope around her neck for to hang her with, right? It's how you get them, it's how you keep them, how you lose them, and so on. Right. She's going through the same thing actively, right? So if she's not careful, they're gonna use this against her. Now let's get into this fat phobia thing and this anti-black thing, because the anti-black thing is particularly interesting to me because I'm like, yo, of all the people that we've embraced and recognized as anti-black, right? Like we have groups of people that we accepted and we have people that we haven't. And I'm like, how did Cardi end up in anti-black? I said, I listened to the comment that she made, and I think the young lady's name was Samira that came back and had all of this stuff to say that was saying she's fat phobic and all this other stuff. And I want to be fair, right? I'm also not one of the small people, so I feel like a comment that would come up was that she's not in the club, right? So she can't make those kind of comments. So I'm probably going to admit that to some extent I'm probably fat phobic because my knees, my hips, my lower back, they don't agree. They don't agree with being non-fat phobic. And I'm just being honest. When you are too heavy, like there's a level of truth that we have to speak around the experience of weight in excess. But I understand what happens when people do this thing. So we're going to get back to this point of the $1 million tongue. So when I heard the joke about the shirt, I genuinely thought it was mad funny. Like I didn't think anything was wrong with it. And I was really surprised that it turned into this whole fat phobia thing. But what I will say, it's not just about the fact that Cardi B has money to pay for people that she insults. It's about understanding the significance of the reach of what she says. So before I got in my own bag of like, am I going to defend this person in this parasocial dynamic, or am I going to understand and empathize with what people are saying and where they are coming from? And I'm like, the danger of her commentary is not that the comments are actually bad, but it's who becomes mobilized behind what she says. So what's happening is that you have all of the mean folks, the people that have bad intentions, that come forward and lean on jokes such as these to justify the ongoing mistreatment of people that they feel like are too fat for anything. And this is what I started to sit with and say, okay, I understand. So then you take it a step further, right? We're talking about this color thing. And I'm gonna just tell y'all, just bear with me, because I don't know if everybody's gonna like this, and I understand. I don't expect everybody to agree with everything that I have to say, and I'm not gonna hold it against you. You can argue with me in the comments, and I still love you anyway. So thanks for listening. But we're going to go into this notation of being racist. Now, I can't really get this thing, right? I'm going to also say, like, being from the town, like, we call people roaches and monkey asses like it's regular, especially because, like, Stone Cold used to be like monkey ass, like, in wrestling, and it was regular. Like, so I want to acknowledge that there can be room for a negative connotation, but I also would be unfair if I didn't say like, yeah, like we call people roaches all the time. Like when I tell you it was mad regular, like your boy is a roach, and it was never about the fact that it wasn't a black thing. It was a like a disruptive, ugly thing. Like why you here, bro? You always come out at the worst time type shit. But again, I get what's happening. But here's what I think is happening. And I want to acknowledge that two things can be true. I want to acknowledge that Cardi can be saying stupid shit that she shouldn't say, that can be mobilizing for specific groups of people that have bad intentions. And she could also not be the person that people are proclaiming her to be, anti-black, racist, and fat phobic. It could be that she doesn't realize the significance of what she's saying and who she mobilizes in turn of her saying it, because that's the nature of the $1 million tongue. And as she becomes more and more popular, more and more famous, and it's more and more people on standby to hear what she has to say, guess what? It's more and more significant. But I also think that Cardi is a little bit of the representation of the things that we as people of color are not allowed to be. And what I mean is that when we talk too loud, people don't like it. When we use too many colloquials, people don't like it. And when we admit that we have a trash past, we don't get hoisted up. We get torn down and villainized about who we used to be. And what I feel like has happened in the online space around Cardi B is that we have, and I'm not gonna say we because I don't want to put this on my badge, but folks have become the enemy that they believe that she deserves. She has been catapulted in all of her imperfections. And I think that the idea is because she is lighter complected, because she is actually of Latina background, things like being loud, things like being aggressive, things like her having a past of being a stripper. Well, all of these things are forgiven and let go. Like if I was to decide to become a rapper and I had this kind of background, they wouldn't accept me, right? When Little Kim was too sexual, like people did not accept her. And I think that that's the thing that's happening in this space, right? Not because we honestly believe that Cardi is this horrible person. It's more so that she represents the reality that there are things that certain groups of people can get away with that we simply cannot. And so I think that we gotta take it easy. I see people like with the whole fat phobic thing. First thing Shorty said was, "Yo, you need to go and read a book." People are way too comfortable just coming after her intellectual capacity. I'm like, "Yo, Shorty speaks two languages." I say, "Yo, off that alone, y'all gotta give her some credit, bro. Y'all gotta give her some credit." And she's always on the defense. Now, I'm not saying that her life wasn't filled with challenges, but I'm also not gonna deny that she has the privilege of being imperfect and being held up. I get it. I understand two things again can be true at the same time, but that does not mean that we should continue to perpetuate the narratives of imperfect people do not deserve opportunities, because the same stuff that we continue to perpetuate is the reason why people are not living out their dreams. There's a bunch of people like sitting in the back of some place not doing the thing that they love because they're too scared that they're not good enough to do it. If you don't like something, you can just not tune in. But to mobilize hate around somebody just because you are upset, I don't know if I could get jiggy with that shit, bro. Sorry. Listen, man. I get it. I want to be respectful to the fact that like y'all, I know what it's like. I don't think that it's cool that there's people that like you see somebody heavy on the internet eating food, like you see somebody heavy on the internet just living life. People just dog pile on them. But this is why there's so many people that are heavy that just hide, bro. And you take moments like that and attach it to somebody like Cardi, because she's like, y'all three, everybody bought out the three X's. You're not getting no more Chick-fil-A. Yo, that joke is not the same intent as the people that's in the fucking comment sections telling fat people that they need to go jump off of some shit, right? But I understand that the reach of Cardi can mobilize the people in them comment sections that are abusive and inconsiderate and just mean people. But again, like I said in the last short, imperfections are not a justification for mistreatment. And that goes in every single direction, every single one. So I say all that to say, man, like, yo, go listen to. Go listen to her new joint, bro. Like her shit is fire, man. So like Imaginary Players is out, man. And it's cool. It's a New York kind of classic feel or whatever the case might be. And yo, bro, we're not perfect, bro. We're not perfect. I'm not saying you got to make excuses for everybody. I'm not saying that you got to justify every single thing. But I'm like, yo, y'all be slapping labels on people quick, bro. Y'all got to take it easy, son. Take it easy. But I love y'all. But did I mention that y'all got me up to damn near 150 subscribers? Like, y'all are wild. And I love y'all, bro. I'm sure that people's not always going to agree with this, or they might feel a certain type of way. And listen, I don't want to upset you. Yo, leave your comment, give your perspective, tell me what I should be considerate of, tell me what I should know better of, tell me what you need to tell me because I want to know. Like, we chatting, but I love y'all regardless. Doesn't matter. So I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much. Have a good day at work tomorrow. Well, whenever you see this, have a good day. Just period. Sleep easy. Yeah, this video is long enough. I'll catch you. Bye.